Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a C.A.T.S, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Hello, fellow cats. I'm Kristen White.
And I'm Angela Howard.
Let's start over.
Sorry, I did. I'm unmuted twice.
Oh,
Let me go bigger.
what do you want us to do? Janelle, do you want to play? Just play the intro again.
Sorry about that. I made this whole thing bigger, so I tried.
No, it's fine. You don't have to do anything. Just pause for a couple seconds of silence and then start talking. It's fine. It can be cut.
Okay.
Hi, fellow cats. I'm Kristen White.
And I'm Angela Howard.
So today what we're going to talk about is clarity. You know, I think that when you are a coach, author, thought leader, or speaker, having clarity around what your business is about, what your brand is called, what you want to manifest in your life makes such a big difference in your ability to gain momentum.
Yeah, and getting clarity, getting there. That's the tough part. And we talked about community, but it's really having the person or the help or the community where you can bounce the ideas off, or, hey, I'm thinking about starting this. And people's feedback, your good friends, feedback is, I think, key to clarity. What do you think?
Well, I do think that feedback is a big part of it, but at the same token, I mean, I just want to push back on that is sometimes we can listen to other people so much that we can't figure out what the hell we're all about, right? It's like, you know, your husband has an opinion, your boyfriend has an opinion, your friend has an opinion, other coaches have an opinion, someone else was successful doing this. I mean, you know, it's just this like just big, loud, chaotic, noisy marketplace. And I think that there is this ability for ourselves, this invitation, if you will, to kind of look within and that quiet part of your soul and say, what is it exactly that I stand for? What is the thing that motivates me? What is one of my gifts that I can offer the people that I work with, that gift of transformation where I can help them move from point A to point B? And I think the more that you can get clear about that as a coach, you know, then you can go to that next step and write a book about that topic or do a talk about that and maybe even get a TED Talk or something like that. So I think that the ability to have that single point of focus, and I know I'm telling you as an entrepreneur, a single point of focus. I was laughing because I remember recently I was meeting with this woman and she wanted to give me her business card. I know business cards are kind of a thing of the past, but she was going through her purse and she had like a business card for this and a business card for that and a business card for this. Like 3-4 business cards later, she's like, gosh, I can't find the right one I want to give you. And I mean, I don't know, raise your hand. Like how many of you could have more than one business card? And I think that when we have that kind of entrepreneurial ADD, we are not really very clear and we kind of go in circles. You know, we're just not moving forward because we don't have clarity.
So you're talking about those internal feedback. So that is a subject I can talk about with the kinesthetic and how I can tell you how I found it, but I've also helped other people find that clarity from within. It's like, how do you know you're on the right path? How do you know this crazy idea that you have or this really deep desire to do something, whatever it is? How do you know? And, you know, I would say you don't know, but that's the unknown that you've got to step into. But the one thing that you can know is how much it moves your soul, how much you can't stop thinking about it, how much it keeps coming up, this idea, this desire, this deep, deep, deep desire to do something to help others or you're really good at something. And like you said, maybe the feedback you're getting is like, yeah, that's crazy, but people's lives are changing. And you're like, well, no, I really like to do that. So what you're talking about is that internal feedback, and to listen to it, to not deny that feeling, that good feeling where your heart leaps. And it's like, oh, yes, yes. It's when you say yes inside. I say those are your internal flags of the direction to go in.
I so agree with you. I think that when you have this persistent thought, I'll never forget when I wrote my first book. Okay. And it was not convenient when this book came in. Okay. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting at home, and at this time, the kids were really young. So I had a baby, a 2-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So, I mean, I've got 3 kids in the home under the age of 5. And I was having just a lot of chaos in my life. And I thought, well, if our thoughts attract our reality, what the hell am I thinking about? I need to change my thoughts. So I would set the alarm and get up before the kids. So you would imagine getting up before that young of kids. I'm getting up at like 5 a.m. because I'm telling you, by 6 a.m., they're awake and raring to go. Okay. So I would go in and meditate in the morning from 5 to 6. And this persistent thought just kept coming to me. And it's like, okay, you're going to write a book. And I was like, I am not writing a book. I do not have the time to write a book. And then a couple of days would pass. It's like, no, you're going to be writing a book. And you feel like you're a little bit schizophrenic when you're doing these meditations, because there is that inner voice that's talking to you and saying, this is what you're going to be doing. And I'm like, no. I mean, because, my background, Angela, just like you and I both have a background in media. So the longest thing that I had ever written in my life was like a 1.5 minute news script. So the thought of like writing this giant book, I'm like, oh, forget it. That's not going to happen. But it was super persistent. Okay. And so finally I just said, okay, fine. I surrender. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to write this book. And I wrote Mystic in a Minivan. It didn't actually even take me very long. And, the minute I said yes, like the next day, I was at this bookstore, and there was a writing coach there, and there was a writing workshop. And so this is what I want to talk about clarity connected to manifestation. Is like when you get clear and you say, okay, this persistent nudge that's happening, I'm going to take action on it. Guess what? The action that you're supposed to take shows up. It's magical. And I have seen this happen so many times in my life. And I really think that it comes from the clarity and then the decision to act on that guidance.
So I have a similar story. I totally agree with you. And mine was not a persistent nudging. Mine happened like, bam, sitting down. I had 2 babies also, and not a great marriage. And this big, the Omega catalog landed in front of me, and it had 250 workshops. And I said, who's got the time to look at this? And I opened it up and I read this workshop. It was a certification program in somatic movement therapy. It's called Dance Kinetics. And I read it, and I swear what happened to me was my entire inside started crying. It's like, this guy is describing exactly what I would like to do. And it was one conversation with the husband that I was not getting along with great. And I'm like, I got to go do this. Now, Kristen, a lot of moms look at me and say, how in the world did you actually manifest this happening? But a week later, I was on a plane and up in Rhinebeck, New York, in some little cabin in some holistic institute where I was going to spend not a week, 30 days learning how to have the certification. But this is when you're on the right path. Just like with you, things show up. When you've made, even if it's a scary step, when you've made the right step, the next step shows up. And when I got back, my whole life went to hell. When I got back, everything went to hell. But I needed a place to do my new Dance Kinetics and to have people come and enjoy it. And I was given a studio for free. That's these things. You're right. When you take that, when you get clear and you take that step, the next step that you get support from the universe, the universal energies around you. So it's really, I think we're encouraging our cats to that when you get clear is to take a step take that step, take that first step and watch the universe support you.
Let's take a quick break and we'll come right back.
You are listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by C.A.T.S Network.
All right. And we're back. And right now we're talking about clarity. And I think that it's kind of a dance, right, Angela? Like you go through times in your life where things are unknown. Like you have a gut about it. You're like, I feel like I'm on the right path. I think this is what I should be doing. And in that darkness of unknowing, there's something that's really required from you. And that's called that leap of faith. Okay. So there is this moment where you have to believe in yourself and just step off into that unknown and trust that what you've been persistently prompted or invited to do is the right path for you. I do truly believe that if you have a desire to do something, you have the ability to achieve it. And I think that sometimes the clarity is really clear. It's like in Technicolor in front of you. And other times it takes a little while for things to get clear. Like you may know, okay, for whatever reason, I feel like I should make this step at least. And I do think that a lot of life is when opportunity meets action. So it's like you're taking actions, you're moving forward on the things that you believe are important for you to pursue. And then all of a sudden something sweeps in and is like, hey, I've been looking for exactly you, what you do, what you offer, your programs, this book you've just written, I want to publish it. So, some of this is like just trusting and then moving.
That's the word. You just nailed it. Trust. Are you an Indiana Jones fan? Do you ever watch the Indiana
I
Jones?
know. I already know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Holy Grail scene.
Yeah. Where he is asked to trust. He's on that cliff, that ledge, and there's nothing below him except thousands of feet. And he's got a fear of heights anyway. And he steps off. He trusts. He had to trust because of where he had to go next. He didn't know what the next step was, but he had to trust. So he put his foot out to step on nothing. And then a stair showed up. Again, out into nothing, and a stair showed up. So there's two things: trust. And when you trust, it will show up. But I do want to say this: if you experience failure, and sometimes we do, and it's not failure, it's a tire bump. It's like, if you want clarity, sometimes you got to step into the muck and like, I know I'm supposed to do this. Like you said, I'm not sure why, but I'm going to do this. And sometimes that wasn't the right one, but your next step is. But you had to make the quote unquote wrong step before the right step maybe even shows up. It's a dance.
I am seeing this a lot with my young adults. I think a very early part of your life is figuring out what you don't want to do, right? Like you do internships or you get that job. Like my son worked at Whole Foods this summer bagging groceries, and he's like, I don't ever want to do that again. Yeah. So, I think a lot of things in life are clarifying events where you do something and you're like, I'm not so sure that that's a fit for me. And here's the thing, it's okay. Like you don't have to do things that don't resonate with you. You really want to go to wherever your sweet spot is, the thing that excites you so much, because that's what's going to be sustainable day in and day out. Because when you're an entrepreneur, and a solopreneur especially, you need to be able to be so passionate, so energized, so committed to your work, so just excited that you can do it day after day after day on your own motor. You're self-propelled. And so when you're doing things that you don't love, it's not sustainable. The chances are you're not going to be able to keep doing it for like 60 days. And so that's one of the things I always say to my clients. It's like, well, do you love it? And do you love the people that you're working with? Because if you don't love it, and if you don't have clarity around what you love, that's step number one. What do I absolutely love to do? Step number one. And step number two is, okay, now I know exactly what I love to do. And then what are my gifts and talents? What am I the best at? So I think when you can kind of get clear about those two steps, your clarity around that offers a lot of clues about where to go next on your path.
And I remember when you asked me that question, do you love it? And then I stopped and I was like, I don't know. And it really makes you think. And then you actually have to go against what you're told you should do. In my case, I should have been something that everybody understood, and I wasn't. I had to do something that nobody understood. Nobody understood what a coach was, 25 years ago. But you do have to follow your bliss and follow your heart. I think that is the cornerstone of clarity, is really your heart's desire, and listening to that and trusting that. You're spot on.
And I do think, that there are so many people around us who either directly or indirectly give us messages or opinions. Oh, the dreaded opinion about what we should be doing. And, what does it mean to be successful? What does it mean to be a good partner or a good parent or an upstanding member of society? And that just may not be your sweet spot, right? Like you may want to be something else. And I think that it's just so important to understand that that's perfectly fine. And, you just have to show up as yourself, however you were guided to be, and be really, really clear about what aspect of you is wanting to come forward.
That's right. And I think the tough part about that is when you are truly yourself, some people who don't understand, they fall away. And then you've got to hold true. You just got to hold true. And this is why. Because when you are who you're supposed to be, even if some people around you don't agree, but you're happy and you're blissful in what you're doing, you bring the greatest gifts to us and to those people around you. So please do what you love to do, because that's who you're supposed to be for yourself and for us.
The more clear you are about what it is you want to bring in, the easier it will be for you to manifest everything you need to make that possible.
Truly. You'll be supported.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you all for being with us today on the Big Meow, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by C.A.T.S Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at C.A.T.S Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated, sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join C.A.T.S Network. C.A.T.S Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, C.A.T.S is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's C.A.T.S networking.com. Because let's face it, cats are better together.